It's a baby. Hi, my little flavors. Welcome to another episode of the Motley Stew Show, where we take one of the stories from news and politics, step outside the echo chamber, and try to figure out what's really going on. Now, of course, today, the filming of this video, the biggest news story is the two news station reporters who were both killed on camera while filming an interview in Virginia. By now, you've probably found out all the details, but if you need more, they're very easy to find. So I'm choosing not to cover that story today. Also, since it is technically breaking news today, I find it's better to kind of leave those things for a few days to let the actual facts sort themselves out, because the first day of breaking news is usually filled with a lot of misinformation. What I'm going to do this week is actually the first of many updates in the presidential race. Not an intro video to a specific candidate, although there are a few more of those to do, but actually what's going on with the candidates we've already introduced. Every day, candidates are jostling for position, making gaffes, and then there's whatever the hell Trump is doing. So let's start with the semi-literal elephant in the room. Since the Fox News debate, Trump has been on a tyrannical whirlwind around the country, both in person and on the airwaves. He outpaces any other candidate with the number of mentions that he has in the news, and while he might use that as an ego boost, those mentions don't actually have any context to them about whether or not they're positive or negative. Now, right after the Fox News debate, Trump started a very public and bitter Twitter war around Megyn Kelly and the fact that she asked him questions about whether or not he could stand behind his past comments about women. He's made comments online calling them fat, lazy pigs, disgusting, and saying how one woman contestant on The Apprentice would look better on her knees. It was a completely justified question, yet Trump thought it was beneath her as a journalist and beneath Fox as a station to have that question asked to him. He proceeded to attack her online and then retweeting what many of his supporters were saying. Now, according to news sources just leaking out today, many employees and TV personalities at Fox News wanted to stand up for Megyn Kelly, but the word from above from Roger Ailes was not to do that. Now, Roger Ailes, being the CEO of Fox News, what he says usually goes. And what he wanted to do was try to play it low, play it quiet, and hope the whole thing would just kind of blow over. He didn't want to get into a mudslinging war with Trump. But to the public, it looked more like he was afraid of Trump and that Fox News wasn't big enough to stand up to him. The weekend following the debate, Trump went on pretty much every other news network, bashed Fox the entire weekend, until Roger Ailes actually called him up and made a truce. So Trump returned to Fox News, a station that legitimately created him as a political force, and Megyn Kelly went on vacation. But just a few days ago, she came back from that vacation, and Trump restarted his war with her. He fired up the Twitter insult machine, but this time, Ailes was done. He issued a mandate down through the entire company and through the network itself, saying it is time to stand up for Megyn Kelly. Ailes himself fired back loudly, saying this: Donald Trump's surprise and unprovoked attack on Megyn Kelly during her show last night is as unacceptable as it is disturbing. Megyn Kelly represents the very best of American journalism, and all of us at Fox News Channel reject the crude and irresponsible attempts to suggest otherwise. I could not be more proud of Megyn for her professionalism and class in the face of all of Mr. Trump's verbal assaults. Her questioning of Mr. Trump at the debate was tough but fair, and I fully support her as she continues to ask the probing and challenging questions that all presidential candidates may find difficult to answer. Donald Trump rarely apologizes, although in this case he should. We have never been deterred by politicians or anyone else attacking us for doing our job, much less allowed ourselves to be bullied by anyone, and we're certainly not going to start now. All of our journalists will continue to report in the fair and balanced way that has made Fox News Channel the #1 network in the industry. Now, personally, I like the fact that he ended that statement saying, yeah, and again, we're #1. He used it as a chance to promote the channel more than just defend Megyn Kelly. But still, it was a very gracious statement on his part. And he wasn't the only one from Fox that did so. So Dana Perino, one of the co-hosts of The Five, said this on Twitter: The intelligence, class, and grace of Megyn Kelly shined last night after her week's vacation with her family. I'll be on Kelly File Wednesday night. And Brian Kilmeade over at Fox and Friends tweeted this: I like @real Donald Trump, but his personal and professional attacks on Megyn Kelly are unwarranted, unacceptable, has to stop. And of course, there was another supportive tweet from Bret Baier, who was also one of the mediators at that Fox News debate. It's been 19 days since the debate. @real Donald Trump has made his feelings clear, but this needs to stop. Let it go. Now, the one piece of support that I thought was most interesting came from Sean Hannity, who has been nothing but Trump's biggest supporter on the network. He even sent out this: My friend @real Donald Trump has captured the imagination of many. Focus on Hillary, Putin, border, jobs, Iran, China, and leave Megyn Kelly alone. Now, after an entire network goes after you and says you really need to back off of this It's also distracting from you winning, evidently. Trump did not seem to respond in kind. He issued a statement saying this: "I totally disagree with the Fox statement. I do not think Megyn Kelly is a quality journalist. I think her questioning of me, despite all the polls saying I won the debate, was very unfair. Hopefully in the future I will be proven wrong and she will be able to elevate her standards to a level of professionalism that a network such as Fox deserves." If Trump is figuring out one thing right now, it's that he thinks that anger, creating anger in the networks, creating anger on the news is the best way to capture the grassroots, the populace. And right now, he thinks angering Fox News is the best way to do that. But they're not the only ones on the right who have a problem with him. Trump also finds him with a huge conservative mouthpiece standing firmly against him, Glenn Beck, who has time and time again on his radio show referred to Trump as a dictator and a fascist more than a presidential candidate. Now, just yesterday, while at a press conference, Trump is still saying that he's going to win the women vote and he's going to win the Latino vote. But not only minutes later, he decided to throw out Jorge Ramos, the most respected newsman in the Latino community, out of his press conference for the sheer arrogance of asking him a question about his immigration plan to deport over 11 million people and have Mexico pay for a wall that will be big and beautiful with a huge door that people can come through legally. The reason why Jorge Ramos was questioning about this is because anyone else who has brought up that question has gotten only one answer: management. But anyway, I digress. There are other people in this race that deserve to be talked about, so let's go to that. Oh, but did I forget to mention that Trump just earned the endorsement of the former Grand Wizard of the KKK, David Duke? Trump says he doesn't want the endorsement and he won't accept it. But interestingly enough, this is the second white supremacist he's gotten a public endorsement from. Now we can move on. Senator Bernie Sanders, who many people wrote off early in the beginning as a really dark horse, is showing himself to be a major contender in the Democratic battle. There have been 2 polls from big important states that have actually shown him winning, beating Hillary Clinton, one of them by 7 points. The attendance to his rallies and speeches is off the charts and exponentially larger than any other candidate on either side of the aisle, routinely. This is even more impressive when you find out how little he actually spends promoting these events. He has true grassroots word-of-mouth support. For those people out there who didn't take Bernie seriously before, you should start doing so now. Now, Vice President Joe Biden is also skirting around the edge of the race right now. Many people are saying he's trying to make a decision on whether or not to jump in. He's had some recent meetings with Elizabeth Warren, who is the guiding light of the far left. And if he got in and she endorsed him, that could shake things up in a huge way. Also, a Biden run could throw a huge rift in the plan and scheme of the Clinton campaign, because it will likely end up in a fight between those two, both of them again ignoring Bernie Sanders, which could cause a huge hole that he can run through. In one way, you could say Biden is really the Trump of the Democratic Party, because if Trump goes third party, he's going to completely divide the vote. If Biden comes in, he could divide the vote as well. Those close to the Biden camp say one of the things that's weighing on him is wondering whether or not he has it in him for another full-fledged run for the office, and whether his family does too. Personally, if you're questioning whether or not you have the energy for a run like this, you probably don't have the energy to run the country. But if he does pull that lever, you'll be sure to get an introductory video for those people who don't know his history. Senator Clinton is mostly keeping her head down, while her possible but most likely nothing burger where something might be there, possible not really possible email scandal rolls its way out of the news cycle. Now, I imagine her camp is telling her not to really respond or dive into this because she just wants to let it flame out. But with Sanders eating away at her lead in a number of states, she might want to drop this political albatross from around her neck and get rid of it as soon as possible. Bouncing over to the other dynastic candidate in the race, Jeb Bush is doing his best middle-of-the-road impression, and he's really trying to pick up all the people that Trump is scaring away with his antics. But Bush found himself right down in the muck with Trump after Trump talked about repealing the 14th Amendment, which gives American citizenship to anyone who's actually born in the country, whether or not their parents are citizens, or even if they're here legally. Now, the children born to people who are snuck over the border and are purposely doing that in order to get that child's citizenship, which will then grant the family citizenship by association, those babies are called anchor babies. And by some people, that's a derogatory term, while others say that that's accurately descriptive. Now, reporters brought this to Bush's door when they asked him, "Do you think this is a derogatory term and should you have used it in the past?" Now, since Bush has a Mexican wife, this is very close to him, but he says no. The term is merely descriptive and he doesn't think it's derogatory. He also said, if you have a better term, go ahead and give it to me and I'll use it. Now that response didn't seem to shake the reporters from it, so then he decided to add this one little bit, saying that he wasn't really talking about Mexicans, he was talking about Asians. Not sure how changing the ethnicity of the people you're offending really is a good power play. It's possibly calculated politically, knowing that the Latino vote is very influential, maybe the Asian vote isn't as much, but who knows? Maybe he just said a stupid thing. Christie, on the other hand, who's currently averaging around 3% in the national polls, is trying to gain some traction by attacking Obama for pretty much anything he sees. Heroin, Iran, the stock market crash of a couple days ago, sanctuary cities, anything. Now, attacking the president is a tried and true method of gaining GOP support, but right now everyone else is doing that too, so I'm not sure how much open support he can really steal for that. Senator Ted Cruz is diving into the defund Planned Parenthood with everything he's got, making it a central tenet of not only his campaign, but his possible future presidency. Oddly enough, this is done at the exact same time that many of the individual states that have launched investigations into Planned Parenthood have come back finding absolutely nothing illegal or even falling under the category of wrongdoing. There is no fire behind that smoke, but Senator Cruz is determined to blow on it as long as he can. Or maybe he's just determined to blow it. I don't know. Governor Bobby Jindal is also swimming alongside Cruz in this Planned Parenthood debate. In his home state of Louisiana, he's trying to stop Medicaid funding from going to Planned Parenthood. But the organization is taking this fight to the federal courts. One of the things they're pointing out is that actually taking away Medicaid funding from Planned Parenthood could possibly be illegal and a violation of federal law by limiting a qualified organization from Medicaid options. But even more interesting is the fact that in Louisiana, Planned Parenthood clinics don't offer abortions of any kind. All they do is breast cancer screenings and preventative care for low-income women. So I'm not sure why he wants to shut those down. Currently polling even lower than Christie, I don't think this is going to bring him up the totem pole anytime soon. So there are other things going on that we could talk about, but most of them are really being drowned out by Trump. I also think that he shows no sign of stopping, whether or not the GOP gives him the nomination. So I would start hedging your bets thinking that he will go third party, because he can't possibly win the GOP nomination. And he may even make that jump before the convention. So the question for this week is, what do you think of the race so far? Do you think it would change dramatically if Trump wasn't in it? If so, how? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching another episode of the Motley Stew Show, and also thanks for those of you who have been here for what is now my 1-year anniversary of doing this show. 52 episodes down and many more to come. There's also a lot of changes and upgrades that are going to come to the show in the next coming year, and if there are things you would like to see, go ahead and leave that in the comments down below as well. If you aren't a subscriber yet, clicking that little button right there is an awesome birthday present for this show. You don't even have to wrap it or send a card. You can also favorite, like, and share this to anyone you think would like to join into the conversation. Stay tuned for next week, and as always, here's a little bit of Logan.
Elisa, sit on the red light. Just watch your feet.
When I call your name.
Last one, Andrew.
Mina, you got to
Now crawl back, please.
Sure,
Ready, balance, 1 foot for me. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful, and put your foot down.
Ready, T-Bone?
And 1, 2, 3, down. Ta-da! Good job, buddy. High five. Nice. Elisa, keep sitting on the red light.
Hi, my little flavors. Welcome to Hi, my little flavors. Welcome to another episode of the Motley Stew. I still don't feel that went right. Stay tuned for next. Dry mouth.